And we're coming to you live from the traveling Built Ford Tough studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan, simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Thursday morning. We are live from the Quest Diagnostics Giants training facility. It's a Giants training camp day. It is also MLB Trade Deadline Day, 6 p.m., as we got a flurry of deals yesterday. The Yankees, the Mets, and the Phillies very active. And the Mets right now have a back end of a bullpen on paper that's one of the best they have had in recent memory. A really bad series for them out in San Diego, but I think everybody's looking ahead right now what they're going to do. In addition to the bullpen moves they made yesterday, Yankees with an incredible comeback victory after almost blowing a game that would have been really everything that's been wrong with the Yankees wrapped into one, but they figure out a way to win that. And, of course, we have a big show here from the Giants facility. I mentioned yesterday we got a great guest list. I'll give it to you again. Jameis Winston coming up first, 6:15. Russell Wilson, 6:45. Dexter Lawrence, 7:15. Brian Daboll, 7:30. Javon Holland, 8:15. So pretty cool. We extended our deal with the Giants. We are partners for even more years. We're happy to be here this morning. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jay. I'm doing great. And we were talking about this yesterday in regards to the Mets and the Yankees, what they were going to do, how they're going to try to basically bolster their roster and kind of redo part of it, at least a third of it. And I would think that the Yankees and the Mets are not done yet. I mean, they're still out there. They're still trying to cull and find players. I do think that Brian Cashman is very aware of the money. You know, I kind of feel like the guys that they've added, they're not that expensive. They're guys that hopefully he can find a little bit of a diamond in a rough. This latest guy, supposedly hits left-handed pitching great, and maybe he'll be a platoon or maybe he'll be out in right field for Aaron Judge. He's actually a pretty good defensive player. The Mets, as you just said, the bullpen is going to be refortified, and certainly when you look at it on paper, it is pretty impressive. But the Phillies didn't stand pat either. You know what I mean? I mean, they went out and bolstered their bullpen. They get a flame-throwing reliever. So I don't know. I just feel like the Mets are not done yet. So I think we're going to go over 2.5 players for the Mets since they had already added one player, Soto. So we were questioning whether or not they would add 3 or more players, and I do think they're going to add somebody else. And the Yankees, I'm not really sure what they're thinking about right now. I can't believe that this would be the only moves that they would make. I would think that they would maybe add another player or two, and depending on who's available out there for bullpen help, because certainly they need that. And I think both the Mets and the Yankees would also like another legitimate starter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where the Mets are looking right now is do they upgrade in center field and do they add a starting pitcher today, because they're not going to add another reliever after what they did yesterday. And I think the Yankees were kind of left holding the bag. I'm sure they were involved on all these guys. I'm sure they were involved on Duran. I'm sure they were involved on Tyler Rogers and Helsley, and the Mets and the Phillies just gave more, especially, the Tyler Rogers deal. Those are 3 guys that we have seen that the Mets have traded back to San Francisco in that deal. So the Yankees are going to have to fortify the bullpen for sure. And now we're going to see, how far David Stearns goes. I mean, he traded away a bunch of prospects yesterday. How many more? And do some of those big names we were talking about come off the board now? The Acuñas and the Beatties and the Vientos and the Mauricio and stuff like that. How much all in? There's all in, and then there's all in.
They still have a logjam at third base, and they still need some sort of situational. I mean, I to fix the situation in center field to get a little bit more offense in the outfield. To me, and I think we talked about this yesterday, it's been written all over the place. So a lot of people think that Stephen Kwan from the Guardians is a guy that is out there that people are bidding for. And if I believe that if the Mets got him, stick him in left field, put Brandon Nimmo in center, I could live with that, and put Kwan at the top of the lineup. Now, all of a sudden, you've extended this lineup a little bit more. You get Jeff McNeil back at second base, Brandon Nimmo out in center field, although it's not perfect. But you now have a leadoff hitter that is really a contact hitter that can be a guy that could set the problem with the Mets is they don't have a problem setting the table. They have a problem clearing the table.
Yeah.
But I just do think another solid outfielder and a solid offensive player that does put the ball in play makes a lot of sense to me. And I can work around, who's going to play center field. And I know it's not perfect, but I do think that it makes you better offensively. I also think that it puts people in the right spot, maybe with the exception of Brandon Nimmo in center field, who's played center field before. I mean, it's not like he's not played out there.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like the less running I can have Brandon Nimmo do, the better, especially with some of the lower leg injuries, the lower body injuries that he's had over his career. But it's not the worst situation at all. And to me, it's Clay Holmes was not good again yesterday. That's an issue. I do still believe in the starting pitching when healthy. They need one more big bat. They just need it because you see yesterday, and I know Darvish turns into the greatest pitcher who's ever walked the earth when he faces whatever Mets lineup is out there. But when you've got Lindor struggling, Alonso struggling, and Soto out of the lineup, I mean, obviously, they got no shot.
Well,
you could say shot.
You could say the same thing about the Yankees. If you have,
but they've won 3 out of 4 without Judge there, and they figured it out somehow. But that's one player. As we're talking about 2 guys who were just been awful offensively in Lindor and Alonso for an extended period of time. I mean, even through the winning streak. And Soto, who hopefully will be back sooner than later.
Well, just know that last year they all had their moments, and It's now. This is where the season. By the way, this is where the season really begins.
Rubber meets the road.
Rubber meets the road. Metal meets the meat.
Yep.
So this is where we go. This is where it all starts now. This August and September, after the trade deadline, and trying to figure out what your lineup and what your roster is going to look like. Who's healthy? Who's coming back? And I kind of feel like both teams are on the trending on the way back with injured players. But I don't believe they're done yet. And we talked about this yesterday after we get off the air. Right after we get off the air, the Mets announcement comes.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
So 10 a.m. today, expect a deal. I'm sure Evan's going to be going crazy. I did see him yesterday when I was leaving and he was coming in.
And what was that like?
Well, I mean, it's just frenetic energy is really what it is. He's wheeling around a suitcase for whatever reason. I have no idea why. Wheeling around a suitcase.
I mean, does he keep his like aluminum cans and bottles in there?
I'm a loser.
So we could get this 5 cents or 10 cents.
Yes,
maybe
exactly.
That's what it was. Yeah, a big shopping cart filled with cans and bottles.
Exactly.
And then he was talking about how it's going to be tough for him because he has these memories of the 2015 trade deadline where him and Joe were doing a camp show and Cespedes got traded to the Mets and they didn't know what to do. And I was like, Evan, you're going to be okay, man. Like, it's all right. No matter what happens, you're going to be okay. You'll be interviewing a Giant. You'll be talking about the trade deadline. It's a good problem to have all this stuff going on right now. And having 2 baseball teams that are active in trying to win, which is something we haven't gotten from these football teams in the last number of years.
Hopefully that's going to change for both of them. And there's a level of excitement over here with a number of their rookies that they've drafted. And, of course, Jackson Dart is at the top of that list along with Abdul Carter and Cam Scadaboo. So, it is every year you start spring training and or summer training camp, I should say, and you have a false sense of hope, I think sometimes you would call it. But, there are new personalities here. I think Brian Dable, we'll have Brian on a little bit later on. I'm sure he knows what the realities of this business are. I mean, he's not going to hide anything. He knows what he has to do. Their offense is just, if they can get their offense somewhere around the middle of the league as opposed to the bottom of the league and with an improved defense, maybe they'll be one of the teams that actually can surprise people, especially if Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over early in the season and give games away the way that the Giants have given games away over the last 3 years.
And speaking of Russell Wilson, he is scheduled to appear with us about 35 minutes from now. And about 5 minutes from now, Jameis Winston is scheduled to appear. So we're going to take an early break and come back hopefully with Jameis Winston. It's Boomer and Gio live from Giants Camp, the traveling Built Ford Tough studio.